always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
Hello, thank you for tuning into the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you by the So how did everyone's weekend go? Well, I can talk about mine. It went really well. My family and I drove to Dearborn. Yes, we drove to Dearborn. We live 4 hours away from Dearborn, and we drove 4 hours just to have Middle Eastern food. Now, I am Middle Eastern myself, and I live in Cincinnati, so there aren't really a lot of options to have the authentic Middle Eastern food that we crave on the daily basis, you know? So we planned it out. We said, let's just go out of town and have great food we've been craving for a while, you know, great shawarma wraps, you know, falafel sandwiches that we just can't really have it here right now the way we want to have it. So we took a long drive and we arrived really late, and my brother found this great restaurant. I actually forgot the name, but that was the only option for us. And we had falafel sandwiches. They were amazing, very fulfilling. But, you know, just to summarize, we actually did go the full weekend just to have food. We woke up the next day, had a huge Middle Eastern breakfast at this Lebanese place, then went out and got shawarma wraps for everyone from this place called Damas. It's a Syrian-owned restaurant, and I definitely recommend it. I know a lot of people probably who listen to this have tried shawarma wraps, but shawarma wraps, the authentic way, are only made with tahini sauce, pickles, and marinated chicken. And usually it's grilled, you know. Other than that, that's not the authentic way to have it. So if you actually have, you know, huge love for food and you love to take road trips, I definitely recommend you go to Dearborn and try out, you know, the food over there, because it's really close to being the best authentic Middle Eastern food. I know Chicago is the same because there's a huge Arab community in Chicago as well, just like Michigan. But I highly recommend Michigan because they also have really good knafe. If you know what knafe is as dessert we eat. It's really sweet. There is a mix of cheese in it as well. But I recommend you also go try out our different sweets. It's different, definitely different, but prepare yourself because you will get thirsty. Those sweets are full of honey and nuts, and they are flaky. It's really good, so it depends. But go to Dearborn if you want to try out different Middle Eastern food. Definitely worth the drive. It's 4 hours for us, definitely different for everyone. But that was how my weekend went. You know, just went out, had a bunch of food, and came back to Cincy, start out the week, which is great. You know, sometimes you need a change. You need to go out, especially with how COVID is, how everything is restricted. You can't really do much. Obviously, things are open now, so it gives you more options to go out and, you know, enjoy yourself with your family or your friends or even alone. But right now, for me, you know, we just went out. Mostly, honestly, we ate a lot of the time in the car. We had my nieces and nephews with us, and we didn't want to risk it either. So most of the time, we just took the food, ate it in the car, drove around Dearborn, and just enjoyed it overall. But other than that, I'm so excited to talk about today's segments. So today we will be covering a very interesting and exciting episode that I've been seeing all over the media. A lot of people have been anticipating this episode with Oprah and it is the Meghan Markle episode, Also, we will also be discussing different celebrities that have been helping create a more inclusive world, which is a very great topic to talk about. And if you stick around to the end of the show, I will be giving you another segment about Khloe Kardashian. Who else will it be? The Kardashians themselves. So we will be speaking about that and her relationship with Tristan. Stay tuned. So before we dive deep into the Oprah episode with Meghan Markle, I think it's important to understand why she was on the show and who Meghan is. So, Meghan she was an actress actually. She pursued a career as a screen actress. She appeared in a number of different TV series, but was known mostly for Rachel Zane on the USA Network show Suits. She also ran a lifestyle blog from 2014 to 2017, which reminds me, I actually want to talk about when she was a kid. I believe she was 10, 11. She actually wrote a letter she wrote a letter saying that she watched a TV advertisement featuring the idea of women being, featured in a greasy cookware, which meant that women belonged to the kitchen, really. And at the time, she said that was sexist, especially when her male classmates started yelling, because they wanted to see the commercial, and the idea of women belong to the kitchen was just wrong for her to see. Therefore, the advertisement at the time was actually changed because of her letter, which I found remarkable when I read. And at such a young age, she had a huge impact, and it really portrays what a great and strong character she is. And I think that shows a lot throughout her career and journey, till now. Yeah, she was an actress, but if we want to talk about how she got into the Royals family and that whole story. So she was actually making international headlines in 2016 when the whole world found out she was dating Prince Harry of Great Britain. So how did these two meet? They met while Harry was attending one of the games in Toronto where Suits was actually filmed, which I find, obviously a lot of people were intrigued. A lot of speculations were issued. Tabloids were all over it. The media was going crazy, and she was the most Googled actress of 2016 as a result of the relationship. So, you can imagine how popular the whole relationship was. At the end of the day, he is a royal and he is a prince. So, she's from Canada. So, as a whole, this was different. A lot of people just wanted to see him with her. They just wanted to Google the relationship, see where it's going. As a person, as an outsider, I think anyone would anticipate where this would be going. A big part of it is because he's a royal and everyone wants to stay up to watch their wedding. I remember when Prince Williams got married. I remember that day at school, the teachers literally took 15 minutes off of class just to watch a clip of the wedding. So, it's a huge deal. So I can imagine why a lot of people were, a little nosy, or let's say they were just interested in the relationship. So on November 27th, 2017, Meghan and Prince Harry revealed that they had actually secretly gotten engaged, which was very exciting. A few weeks later, the palace announced that the royal wedding would take place May 19th, 2018. So, after that, Meghan became, number one most talked about all over the world. She was the most Googled person 2017 as well. That's like second year in a row. And what's actually, as she became part of the royals, she had to shut down her, all her social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you call it. And quote, she said she was grateful to everyone who has followed her on social media over the years. On February 10th, the royal wedding emerged. There was a huge marriage ceremony, as you can imagine. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have watched it or even seen pictures. Everyone was talking about it at the time. So when obviously Meghan and Harry became very public and everyone found out that they are actually committed, Markle was making headlines by breaking royal protocol. And I'm actually going to talk about one example, and that was on International Women's Day in March 2018, when a 10-year-old student told the princess, Meghan Markle, she told her that she wants to become an actress, and look what she did. So Meghan gave the girl a hug, which violates the handshake only rule in place for the royal family. So that was one of the reasons why she was making and breaking headlines, guys. So she gave the girl a hug instead of a handshake, which is understandable, but I can assume how stressful it was for her to learn all these different rules. And, sometimes you violate it not intentionally. And I think that was the case for her. She was just being genuine about the whole situation. But, the tabloids loved to create drama and turn everything against her, which was really unfair. And to top it all off, during all of this, there was drama within her family. For example, her brother sent Prince Harry a handwritten letter warning him about Meghan, telling him such harmful, mean words to describe her with, such as like jaded, shallow, conceited. He even said that she will be making a joke of you and the royal family. Clearly, he was really offended and angry that he wasn't invited to the wedding. Quote, he said, to top it all off, she doesn't invite her own family and instead invites complete strangers to the wedding. Who does that? And the letter was actually published on May 2nd. Honestly, this just seems like someone is jealous and pettiness and just wants to take it out on her, which again, it's really unfair. And I can't imagine what she's going through or what she went through at the time. And that wasn't even it. There was drama involving her father, her half sister, that I assume it's part of being in the spotlight. There's a lot going to be going on, but fortunately her mom was very sweet. There was no drama involved with her mom. She was just helping her daughter with her big day, and you could actually see that on the wedding day. If you watch the wedding, you could tell how supportive her mom was on that day and how she genuinely loved her daughter and wanted the best for her. So not long after the wedding, they had a baby boy, Archie, who was born on May 6, 2019. And let's talk about what happened after baby Archie was born. Meghan faced a lot of backlash and hate from the British media that had led to her and Harry stepping back from the royal duties. On January 8th, 2020, after spending the holiday season in Canada, Markle and Harry delivered the shocking news and the announcement that they plan to step back from being senior roles in the royal family, and they want to become more financially independent. In all honesty, when I was reading the news during that time, I was not shocked. Meghan was getting so much hate. She would be literally doing nothing, and people would make the biggest deal about what she was saying, what she was doing, which is why now she's speaking out to Oprah about her situation, and her experience being a part of the royal family. Stay tuned, we will be talking about her interview with Oprah in the next segment.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Hello and welcome back. How's everyone doing? I'm your host, Aseel. So, today we're going to talk about the Oprah interview with Meghan and Prince Harry. Now, before we jump into the interview itself, I'm going to have a summary of what we talked about in the first segment. In the first segment, all we talked about is Meghan and Harry's relationship and what led them to the Oprah interview. Now, before we jump into the interview itself, I just want to talk about how beautiful Meghan looked in this interview. And if anyone recalls the interview with Princess Diana's explosive BBC sit-down from 1995, there is no doubt that you've noticed how there are so many similarities between the two. And Meghan Markle's recent sit-down with Oprah is very similar to the one Princess Diana had in 1995. And this is actually very iconic to me and anyone that loves Princess Diana, and this interview that was released later after her death, because it is very similar in many ways to Meghan's, and we're going to dive into that later on. An American citizen by birth, a woman of mixed racial heritage, and former actress Meghan married Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, in May 2018, and it was a fairy tale wedding at the Windsor Castle. But later on, she realized how she was being judged and questioned on every little aspect and choice in her life, as simple as holding her baby, as simple as what she's wearing or how she's hugging a child, as simple as walking, or how she's really breathing. She's being judged on everything she's doing. And she was even compared to others as well. In 2020, however, the couple moved out of the palace, leaving behind all the royal privileges like we talked about in the first segment. They stepped down, and that was one of the reasons they stepped down for, is because of the lack of support that they received from the royals themselves. Meghan was put in a spot where her life was at stake, her mental health was at stake, and I find it very heroic of Harry to put his wife and his child first and her mental health first and step down to take care of them completely on a whole different life that he's used to. I'm going to talk about one similarity between Meghan's interview and Princess Diana's interview. Meghan's discussion of her mental health and struggles as a royal wife was a huge aspect of the interview. And it was huge because Princess Diana has also discussed the fact that she had depression and bulimia during her own marriage. And, you know, Meghan even spoke about her thoughts of suicide that has led her to depression and all that because of the media and the lack of support, which I find very unfortunate. The interview starts off with Oprah welcoming Meghan. I just want to talk about again how remarkable she looked. Both of them, they're absolutely beautiful. I also want to pay attention to the fact that she was not even paid for this interview, and she had no idea what type of questions that are coming for her. So she was really in it for a surprise. She had no idea what was coming, and obviously Oprah knows what she's doing with her questions, and there's a lot that's going on, and Meghan is here to clarify it. So in the beginning, Meghan described how being a part of the royal family is completely different from what's shown on TV or on TV shows or what's on movies. They don't teach you how to be a royal. You have to actually teach yourself everything from zero. And I find it very genuine of her when she described how she didn't know how to courtesy to the queen herself, and she had to learn it seconds or minutes before she even met her, which I find very interesting because you would never have figured that what's on TV is not how it is in reality. Obviously, there's a lot of things we don't believe that what's portrayed on TV is compared to reality. But, you know, something as simple as like teaching someone how to speak or courtesy, you gotta teach it yourself. You have to learn it yourself, and you have to actually grow yourself from there on your own. Then Oprah asked her about the situation with Kate Middleton being upset from Meghan herself. And this was a huge story at the time that it went out because Meghan got a lot of backlash over it. But Meghan came forward and clarified that that's not how the story came out to be. Meghan said that there was a disagreement over the bridesmaid dresses at Prince Harry and her wedding, and the person that actually cried was Meghan. And she later said that Kate Middleton did apologize and they are on good terms. And she did say yes, that she was correct about flower girl dresses, and it made her cry. It did hurt her feelings, but at the same time, Kate Middleton did apologize. And Meghan did talk about how this was one of the most difficult parts for her because everyone in the institution knew it wasn't true. And sadly, the media took it and fed into it and made it a bigger deal than the way it really was. And I believe that if she had gotten support over this, maybe her relationship with Kate would have been better. I'm not sure, but this is up to obviously both of them. But she did say that this was a turning point because this was all around the media coverage, the huge media coverage surrounding her, and obviously they were all against her. So this was very effective in a really negative manner on her. Not to mention, she was silenced and to always say no comment to all tabloids in the media in the name of protection. And that made her feel unsupported. But she also did talk about how the Queen was very, very different with her, and she was very welcoming, you know? And that was something she actually talked about continuously, her and Harry, Prince Harry, is how the Queen was very sweet and welcoming towards her. Guys, are you ready for the jaw-dropping moment that literally had Oprah shocked for the rest of the interview? Is the fact that members of the family had concerns about how dark Archie will be. when I tell you Oprah was shocked, I'm not even kidding. And there was even a change in the convention for Archie with no explanation, no security or even title. The British tabloids did not leave Meghan alone. They casted her as a villain and someone who wanted to cause a type of rift in the royal family. Which is why this was huge for Meghan to come out and say that the royals caused her to be at a bad place in her life and led her to the point of self-harm and suicide. And she was in a very, very dark place. And this was very unfortunate. As she was speaking, she had tears in her eyes. And this was very explosive in the interview with Oprah. She said she had been the victim of character assassination and that depression drove her to that point. Quote, "Look, I was really ashamed to say it at the time and ashamed to have to admit it to Harry especially, because I know how much loss he has suffered. But I knew that if I didn't say it, then I would do it." She was very emotional. She even said, "I just did not want to be alive anymore. And I can't imagine how hard this is for her to come on television and say it, Very, very sad. And I hope she's in a better place right now where she doesn't feel any type of those feelings. And I could tell that Harry is very supportive during the whole interview next to her, holding her hand, gripping onto her, making sure she's okay. And you can tell that if you watch that. And with the lack of support and the suffering she was going through, she was denied any type of help. Meghan said she spoke with a senior member of the Royal Institution about seeking help for her mental health and was unfortunately turned away. And this was very unfortunate. She said she did get some sympathy from a human resource department, but they told Markle that there was really nothing that they could do for her. So she had to really suffer on her own, without even telling Harry at first. And not to mention, this was all preserved to one factor. It's the fact that they did not want the royals to have a bad image. So they kept her away and denied her to get help or seek any type of help that could lead her to a better mental state. Prince Harry joined his wife not long after, and he said that in 2020, when they moved out of the palace, leaving behind all the royal privilege, was the reason behind it is the fact that they lacked support and there was a lack of understanding. And this was after Meghan told him that she has suicidal thoughts, and he took the next step, which was full of bravery, and decided to take care of his family and take care of her and her son, their son. Which reminds me, they did announce the fact that they will be having a baby girl in the summer. I really hope they name her Diana, iconic. Harry did talk about the fact that his family did cut him off, and he was living off the money Princess Diana left him, as if she knew that there is going to be a day where he's going to leave the royals and struggle and live on his own. Then Meghan did leave a mermaid reference where she talked about how her voice is back when Mermaid got her voice back at the end of the movie, which was very inspiring and very touching. And Harry did touch on the fact that his relationship with William was on and off, and he said that a lot of them stepped away and he doesn't even talk to his father as much, but his relationship with the Queen is stable. Again, Meghan did talk about the fact that one of her biggest regrets is believing them when they said she will be protected. And the interview ended off with Meghan even describing how her love for Harry was the reason why they are surviving right now, and how they were able to fight through the struggle, and how he was her hero, and how he saved them all, how he saved Archie, and how he saved her, and how now they're happy with the way they're living and very satisfied. Unfortunately, a lot has happened for them for them to become stable and safe within their own home, because Harry did say that his most important thing is security, and that was taken away from him when he stepped down. I honestly believe when Meghan came out and spoke about her struggles, she wanted to leave a message, and it's the fact that, it doesn't matter how rich, successful, famous, beautiful, or even if you are royal, who you seem like you have it all, you could be struggling mentally, and that is valid. You could seem like you have it all, and that could be perfect on social media, but behind closed doors, you are sobbing. And that's the message she was trying to say, that she was feeling lonely and she needed support, and she lacked that when she was with the royals. And I hope she's okay right now. She seems like she's okay with her family, her small, beautiful family. And that was all for today's segment that concerned the interview with Oprah. Stay tuned, because we will be talking about some tea about the Kardashians and how celebrities have made an impact on our communities. So stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. So let's do a little recap about what we talked about in the last two segments. So we spoke about Harry and Meghan Markle. We spoke about their love story, how they met, their fairy tale wedding, and what led them to break away from the royals and what caused that. And also we spoke about the Oprah interview, which was iconic. Until this day, people are speaking about it. Until this day, it's making headlines. A couple of days later, Prince William was seen with his wife, Kate Middleton, at a school in London. And a reporter asked him a couple of questions concerning the interview with Oprah that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry had. And Prince William said, quote, "We are very much not a racist family," he told the reporter. Adding to that, he even said, "I haven't spoken to Harry yet, but I will." Which, there you go. A lot of people, needed to hear that. I guess after the interview, obviously everyone knows how it was a huge deal. Till this day, it's a huge deal. So a lot of people wanted answers to everything that went on in the interview. So I assume even in a couple of weeks, we're going to hear more from the royals and what they have to say in response to Meghan and Harry's interview with Oprah. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Stay tuned till the end, because we have some Kardashian tea to talk about. But before that, let's talk about celebrities who helped create a more inclusive world. For people that might feel different and not accepted, or for people that people in general just look at them differently for who they are, or they stereotype them. So there are a lot of celebrities out there who paved the way to change that perspective. So let's talk about that. I want to start with Billie Eilish. She has a huge impact on our new generation, the young adults, and even teenagers. In 2020, she was the second in history to win the 4 main Grammy categories. She is only 19 years old with so much force in music, and she has so much depth that she reaches to others with. Not long ago, Billie Eilish spoke about the All Lives Matter movement in a very, very powerful post that could have possibly shifted a lot of mindsets and perspectives for others that don't see privilege. She spoke about white privilege. She even tried to educate her followers on very serious topics like social injustice and even the coronavirus pandemic. At the end of the day, she is a young adult and can relate to many. And I feel like when people her age see that powerful voice she has, they will listen to her. And she also uses her music to share how she feels and how relatable she is to others that feel the same way. Jojo Siwa, who's only 17 years old, that built a full empire for herself with millions of fans, came out in January as a member of the LGBTQ community. She was afraid of losing herself. She's afraid of losing everything she has built. But she has mentioned it that she had to be herself and come out because that's the way she loves herself. And that's the way she wants to present herself. And she can't be afraid of being that way. She introduced her fans to her girlfriend soon after and is very happy to share her truth. Quote, "I'm really, really happy. And now that the world gets to see this side of my life, it makes me really, really happy." She mentioned that on social media. She also said that she wants people to know that there's so much love in the world and it's so incredible. Allowing others to understand that no matter what decision they make or what route they decide to take in life or how they feel is really up to them. Everyone should live the way they want. Everyone should feel the way they want towards others. And everyone should be loved, no matter how it may be or what it may be. Because at the end of the day, our differences make us unique and our differences make us the best of who we are. Naomi Osaka is the first Asian player to hold the top ranking in singles by the Women's Tennis Association. She's only 23 years old and she promotes her activism. She talks about the Black Lives Movement. She puts it in the front and center during her US Open championship run. She wears masks with the names of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and more of those who were taken away. She considers sport very important, but she also has a voice for activism and wants to change what's going on around her. She wants to start a conversation where people could step in and make right decisions. Mindy Kaling is a huge actress on The Office and the Mindy Project. She is currently helping others make their way in Hollywood and creating a path for those who want to start their acting career. She's writing and producing different projects for those who want to be a part of Hollywood, even if it was through Netflix. She wants to change and break stereotypes for Asian representation. And that's very powerful of her to do because I feel like it only takes, but one person can create so much change that could lead to bigger results and more change within the industry that's very much needed at some points. Next, I want to talk about the incredible Awkwafina. She's been in the industry for a while, You might know her, you might not, but she's a rapper, an actress, and a host as well. She became the first woman of Asian descent to win a Golden Globe. She was the lead actress in her movie The Farewell, and it was the first big award she received. Awkwafina has used her voice to speak out against anti-Asian rhetoric, especially about the coronavirus pandemic. Ziwei is a very, very popular comedian with a very strong personality, and even has a web series that calls attention on privilege, racial stereotypes, and injustice. While her main goal is to make people laugh, she also has a message she wants to send. She said in an interview with Teen Vogue, "I sure hope that it provides a really sharp satire on media culture. It might be a take on race and class and gender that's definitely, hopefully, funny, which is also a priority, but I want my work to be smart and thoughtful." So as you can tell, yes, she is a comedian, and yes, she needs to make people laugh because that's her job, but at the same time, she can use her comedy to shift different ideas and perspectives and bring those voices out, those voices that are unheard and need the opportunity for others to speak for them. So Stephanie Beatriz helped create a huge change in Hollywood with her role in Brooklyn Nine-Nine Star. Her character storyline as a bisexual woman helped many out there come out and helped many feel relatable. She even won an Media Award in 2019. To clarify, it was a nomination award. But what's very, very cool about all this is 3 years later, the actress herself did come out as bisexual on social media. And that must have been such a proud moment for her. And, I can imagine someone who is bisexual and sees a character that's very relatable to them become satisfied with the media, or let's say they are happy with how correctly they're represented as well. That's something that's very important, representation on screen, because it is a matter that we have to keep in consideration that we are different. Like right now, everyone is listening to me, right? We all have something different about us that makes us unique, like I said before. It's a key factor to understand that any type of different representation on screen is a huge milestone for others, and it leads to a lot of impacts on others, those that have comfort characters, that character could be their comfort character and could be a character that they will always go back to because they feel like they connect. And once you see a character that you can connect to, it paves the way for the industry to make more characters out there that are different and unique and relatable to others, because not everyone is the same, or not everyone, well, really, realistically, no one is the same. Everyone has something different about them. So I think that's what a lot of celebrities are trying to portray in their different characters that don't have much representation on screen. A lot of celebrities have made an impact, and representation, proper representation matters a lot because a lot of people might feel that this shapes how they are viewed by society and how they view themselves as well. And the media should reflect more diverse stories so people understand that difference exists, and that is okay. Because realistically, not everyone believes that. But once they see that, there are different stories out there and that there is inclusivity, and that reflection could shift perspectives and should allow doors to be open for others as well. A lot of minorities should be given opportunities other than like the typical, movies like Crazy Rich Asians, Aladdin, Black Panther. They all have different messages that are very important, especially when it comes to representation of different minorities. And I'm not just talking about like Hollywood, but also like in pop culture as well. And, obviously, even if it comes as like little kids, if they see a doll that represents them, they become very excited. If you see someone that looks like you or act like you or has the same ideas like you become inspired by this character or this person, because I guess it's just human nature. A lot of us could disagree on many things, but if we do agree on things, it's inspiring and it makes you want to move forward with this person, and you're more intrigued to see more about this character, which is a huge element in the industry. And I think that they should focus on more is the fact that representation really matters to many, especially that people that view the screen are from all over the world. We're not just talking about one community. No, we're talking about different communities. So that should be a huge element and a very, very important one for others to see themselves on screen. All right, guys, we will be going on a break right now, but stay tuned because we have some Kardashian tea to talk about in our last segment.
Golden State Media Concepts bring you Book Review Podcast, a haven for bookworms of all ages and the widest genres, from mystery to memoirs, romance to comedy, fantasy to sci-fi. If you love to read, this is the podcast for you. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Book Review Podcast.
We're finally here at our last segment of the day. So if you're keeping up with the Kardashians, today's tea is all about the Kardashians. And let's have a recap about what we talked about in the last few segments. We spoke about the Meghan Markle and Harry on the Oprah show. We also spoke about celebrities that have helped create a more inclusive world. But right now, it's all about the Kardashian tea. Before we start with our tea for today, we have to understand where the Kardashians came from. That circles back to Rob Kardashian, the father of Kim, Khloe, and Kourtney, also Rob as well. He was born in LA and he was famous for being involved in the Brown Simpson and OJ trial. This was a very iconic trial at the time, if you remember it. But this was really where it originated from, and where their name became very popular is because of their dad. So, as you can tell, Robert Kardashian was widely known for being a high-profile attorney, and he was close friends with American football player O.J. Simpson. Him being wealthy, he was able to manage to earn enough to give his family the life that they dream of, and that helped them become famous. And, Keeping Up with the Kardashians has over 10 seasons now and many spin-offs. So when Robert Kardashian was on the defense team, when the O.J. Simpson was accused of murdering his wife, Nicole, people really began to identify the Kardashians' name at the time. And where he was at the trial caused a huge conflict among the family, as Kris was very close to Nicole and believed at the time that OJ was guilty. So as you can tell, there was a lot of drama within the family themselves. So let's talk about the fact that before Kim Kardashian was famous, she was actually Paris Hilton's assistant in 2003. But what really, really got the Kardashians famous is Kim's scandalous tape. Unfortunately, a lot of people only recognize her because of that. It is awkward, but this was leaked by her ex-boyfriend, Ray J. A lot of people say this was not intentionally done. A lot of people say it was intentionally done by Kim and Chris to get them famous. Who knows? But she did get $5 million in settlement for the tape that was leaked. And this is when their store, Dash, was popular. Kim, Kourtney, and Khloe opened their clothing store, and there was a spin-off too about the show and on E, called Dash Dolls, where young girls shared their customer service skills on screen. And this was more to impress the Kardashian ladies. So I guess this was like A and TM, but Dash spin-off. In 2007, Kris Jenner pitched the idea of filming a reality TV show to Ryan Seacrest, and that is when Keeping Up with the Kardashians aired on E. And till this day, the show is running, guys. It is a huge hit. I'm sure someone has seen clips, my diamond earring scene, iconic, So there's a lot to the Kardashians that people love to watch. So the show didn't just become popular, but it also gave them more wealth, I guess. It gave them more wealth, popularity, and even a career. Kendall Jenner, she's the highest paid model, my bad. She's the highest paid model right now. Kylie has her own makeup company. She was the youngest billionaire. Every one of them has her own company, even Khloe, even Kourtney. So a lot of it is backed, and thank you to Kim for working very hard to give that pathway to her sisters and give them opportunities. In the beginning, it was all about Kim. The whole show, every spinoff, everything was just surrounding Kim. But later on, each one of the girls, even Rob, had their own storyline that people were intrigued to know about and people were interested in. And obviously, their social media was very, very uproaring. Everyone wanted to follow them. Until this day, they have a lot of followers, millions and millions of fans follow them. Haters, fans, it doesn't matter. They benefit from both because it's all about marketing as well. The more followers, the better. So I guess you could say that, Kylie has over 100 million followers. Kylie, I assume right now, is the most popular one with her makeup line, her stories with her with Stormy, her little child. It's just like their name is always on tabloids. Their name is always on headlines. And today's story is about Khloe. Khloe has been making headlines on Twitter for the past few days now, and let's talk about that. So before we start, let's talk about Khloe and Tristan. In 2016, they started dating, and they were very serious, and they spent a lot of time together. And Khloe posted a lot about them, hinted a lot about their relationship in 2016. And there was a lot of appearances of them two together. And in 2017, Khloe came out and said that she is pregnant with her first child with, obviously, Tristan. And she confirmed her pregnancy in a message on Instagram and said, "My greatest dream, realize we are having a baby." And they're both cuddling each other in the picture. And on March 3rd, 2018, she shared that she is having a girl. She was expecting a boy, she said, but, she is having cute baby True. So around April 10th, that's when all the cheating rumors were coming out. TMZ reported that, claiming that the basketball player took a woman and he was kissing her at a club in a hotel in New York. And unfortunately, all the cheating rumors were correct. And on April 11th, Khloe did give birth to True in a hospital near Cleveland. And Tristan was with her at the hospital at the time because to Khloe, this was all about her daughter and the memories for her daughter, which is honestly such a such a good woman. She's so strong to be able to go through all of that while giving birth. You know, not anyone is able to handle such a thing. I actually watched that episode. It was a very emotional episode. You know, she was able to put all her emotions aside just for her daughter, which is not easy at all. And I can't imagine what she was going through and how much strength she had at the time. And, you know, around May, they did get back together and she did decide to give him another chance. And so not long after, on February 19th, 2019, TMZ broke the story that Khloe and Tristan did break up after he cheated on her with Kylie Jenner's best friend Jordyn Woods. A quote, all over each other. They were all over each other at a house party, and Khloe found out a few days later and, you know, broke up with him immediately. So there was a lot of drama that happened after. You know, Khloe confirmed that the whole cheating scandal did happen. You know, the whole Kardashian family started to unfollow Tristan on social media. You know, Khloe addressed the drama for the first time in February. And on March 1st, 2019, Jordyn Woods appeared on the Red Table Talk to discuss what happened. You know, she said there was like a kiss on the lips, you know, no tongue, nothing, but still cheating, you know, regardless. You know, she spoke about Tristan and everything going on, what privately happened, what didn't happen, you know, so it was all just uncovered. So I just want to say, this is when Khloe responded to Jordyn Woods on Twitter, and she said, "Why are you lying at Jordyn Woods? If you are going to try and save yourself by going public, instead of calling me privately to apologize first, at least be honest about your story. BTW, you are the reason my family broke up." And I remember when Khloe posted this, everyone was just fighting her for it, you know, because this was not just Jordyn's fault. Tristan is equally to blame. And that's what Khloe even said, that she said, "Tristan is equally to blame, but Tristan is the father of my child." And one of the quotes Khloe said is, "Tristan is equally to blame, but Tristan is the father of my child. Regardless of what he does to me, I won't do that to my daughter. He has been addressing the situation privately. If Tristan were to lie publicly about what conspired, then yes, I would address him publicly as well." So I think she is trying to mend the situation just for her daughter at the time. But the reality is now, because she broke up with him, right? So their whole relationship just involves around True, their daughter. So in October 2019, Tristan tried to work and try to get back to Khloe. Obviously, she didn't really give him the chance to go back to. But in April, during the whole quarantine time, Khloe made the decision to stick together in quarantine and celebrate True's birthday together as a family. I honestly applaud her for all of this. She's really doing this all for True. And, you know, later on, they did get back together. News right now is all about them being together and her trying to have actually a second child from him. So in July, after months and months of quarantine together, Khloe and Tristan tried to give the relationship another try. And, you know, according to sources, Tristan was working very hard to prove himself and be a great dad to True and try to get back to Khloe. And Khloe did appear to respond to many of the rumors in different tweets. Like, I guess Twitter is her outsource. It's what she likes to talk about, you know, and I think it's the way they even bring out their ratings. I mean, honestly, social media is the way to go. She did say that the pair are in a good space and they continue to co-parent True, which, you know, at the same time, that means that they're really not together. They're just doing it all for True and they're trying to be in a good place for her. She did not address whether they were dating or not, but she did say, "It's like I have to be an adult. Why make it difficult for myself for the rest of my life? I have to deal with him." So, like I said, it's all for True. She also added, "He's her dad and he's a great dad to her. So I'm not going to drag my feet. I'll make it as good as I can because that would just be hard on me." And around, you know, October 2020, they got together, they're back together, and the relationship was stronger than before. So she is trying to have another baby with Tristan. She has a fertility treatment that she goes through. and I really hope her the best. What do you guys think? If you were Khloe, would you give Tristan another chance for your daughter or not? She has also been all over Twitter because of her new appearance on social media. She is no longer even taking comments. She disabled all the comments on her social media because people are just, it's sad, but they're dragging her for the way she looks now. You know, many of the comments were just talking about her getting plastic surgery, you know, even, and how far she has been going for it, and, you know, and even using live filters or CGI techniques to alter her face. And Twitter has just been talking and talking about that. You know, following many rude and negative comments about her face, Khloe turned off her Instagram posts, comment sections. I mean, I don't blame her. People can be very cruel on social media. And if this is coming from an insecure place for her, I think we should be more sympathetic and show empathy towards her, because if someone is insecure about themselves, then why point out their insecurities? And also the latest tea is the fact that she was on the Ellen DeGeneres show and had a major wardrobe malfunction. The 36-year-old Keeping Up with the Kardashian reality TV star made a recent appearance, and she made it seem cool, and she hid her wardrobe malfunction on Ellen. She said, "I was wearing a shirt, and backstage the holes on the back of it ripped open. And I was like, I don't have anything to wear. It's live TV." So she just made a quick decision by finding an oversized blazer to be worn instead, which is very smart for her. And this was all for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to the GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice review. That really would help us. Also, if you can please follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, and see you next time.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.